welcome back to my channel. I got my adapter for the microphone, so it is not a prop, and I am all ready to dive into a deeper explanation of IVF. If you saw a couple of videos ago, I explained some of the most common infertility terms, IUI, IVF, and FET. And I do plan on doing videos describing each of those in a little bit more detail, but I decided to start with IVF because that is the most complicated one. And I have to preface it with a couple of things. First of all, I need some feedback. I have been trying to keep my videos to about 5 minutes because it's just me sitting here talking. It's not super exciting, and I don't want to bore people to death. So I need some feedback to know if that's a good length of time, if you wish they were longer because I could talk a lot longer about some of these things, or if 5 minutes is good. The other thing I need to preface this with is the reason I'm just sitting here talking. I am not currently going through any fertility treatments. I'm done having kids, and I kind of wish I'd thought to do this back when I was doing all of my treatments, because it would be more exciting, more interesting to bring you along to my doctor's appointments and doing all my shots and getting all my medicine and doing all the paperwork and, everything involved. But my first 2 IVF cycles were back in 2011, which it doesn't seem that long ago, but in terms of the growth and development of social media, it was a lifetime ago. I was on Facebook, but not Instagram, and even Facebook was very different. When my memories pop up from that time, there weren't a lot of pictures, very few videos, there weren't support groups. It was just very different. And I'm someone who is not super innovative or creative until I see something that someone else is doing. And then I'm like, oh, well, I could do something like that. So it was just very different. And I wish I had more to share with you from that time, since I do feel a little bit boring just sitting here talking. But I do hope that everything that I'm sharing is helpful. So let's dive right in. So in a natural cycle, a woman typically just releases 1 egg. With an IVF cycle, they want you to release as many eggs as possible to give you the best chance of getting healthy embryos, which gives you the best chance of having a healthy baby. So the way that they do that is with a couple different medications. Oh, let me back up for just 1 second. There is another thing I need to preface all of this with. Technology is always changing with IVF. So I am going to try and keep things pretty general, because even between the IVF cycles that I did in 2011 and the IVF cycle that I did in 2015, a lot changed. A lot changed about the procedures. And they're always trying to perfect them, trying to better them, trying to make the odds of a successful pregnancy higher. But then also, every fertility clinic is going to do things slightly differently. So don't quote me verbatim on anything. This is just kind of a general idea of how things work. And if you're watching this and thinking, well, my fertility clinic didn't do that, don't panic. It's just the way that they do things. This is also, I don't know, do I need to clarify that this is not medical advice in any way? Okay, so back to the medications. Here is a picture of everything that I was given before starting an IVF cycle. The prenatal vitamins I had been taking for years already. There's a pack of birth control pills that is the very first thing you take for about a week before you start any medication. There's packs
of needles, there's alcohol wipes, and I thought it was pretty cool that I got my own sharps container. And then all of the other bottles and boxes are the actual medications.
So the first medication is to suppress your body's natural reaction to ovulate. They don't want you to ovulate on your own. They want you to ovulate under their parameters so that they can get the most healthy eggs. So there's one that suppresses that, and then there's other hormones that help trigger the follicle to develop nice mature eggs, and to make sure that multiple follicles are growing and getting ready to release mature eggs. And they monitor you closely. They monitor you in two ways: with blood work to monitor your hormone levels and make sure that they stay in an expected range. And then they also monitor you by ultrasound. And the ultrasound is going to show them how many follicles are growing and the size of them. They do not want them to get too big, because then they'll release the egg on their own, and then you'll have wasted eggs. When I was going through IVF, the magic number was 18 millimeters. I have no idea if that has changed, if that ever will change, or if that's just, I can't imagine. I guess it would change if the size of the needles they were using to extract the eggs changed, or I guess, I don't know, maybe sometime in the future the whole process of how they collect the eggs could change. I don't know. Again, they really want the maximum number of follicles possible to release a nice healthy egg. So once at least one of your follicles reaches 18 millimeters, then you go in for the egg retrieval. And what they do is you then will give yourself a trigger shot, and that is triggering your body to say, okay, let's get ready to release these eggs. And then you go in for the egg retrieval. Now, I have heard of some clinics who do the egg retrieval while you're awake, but it is most common to do the egg retrieval under anesthesia. And I've heard it is painful when you're awake, so I'm very grateful that my clinic is one of the ones that does it under anesthesia. It does make it a little bit hard as far as bouncing back. So typically after the egg retrieval, there's a couple of days, 5 to 7, sometimes 9. Again, that's something that is changing, always evolving, and differs from clinic to clinic when they will transfer the embryo back. So that's the basic process. Most of the shots are done in your stomach with a diabetic needle. So it's not too horrible. Towards the end, when you've been giving yourself 3 shots a day for 2 weeks, your stomach is pretty bruised. And I remember towards the end, I couldn't find a place on my stomach to do the shot that it wouldn't bleed, because it was so tender from all of the hormones and all of the shots. And it kind of feels like a mini pregnancy, because your ovary is used to only releasing 1 egg at a time, and your body is used to only 1 ovary at a time releasing an egg. And suddenly both ovaries are being asked to produce a massive amount of eggs, and they get swollen, and you can feel them, and your stomach just feels heavy. And then you have all this extra fluid, I feel like, from the hormones and the swollen ovaries. And I don't know, it feels like a mini pregnancy, because then you go in and you get the eggs retrieved and everything kind of starts to settle down. Of course, hopefully soon after that, you're pregnant for real. Around the time of the egg retrieval, you will start taking progesterone to help support a pregnancy. And you will take that either until you get a negative pregnancy blood test or until you're released from the fertility clinic to an OBGYN. And again, different clinics do things differently as far as the progesterone. You can do it as a suppository or a shot. But the progesterone shots are huge intramuscular needles that go either in your butt or your thigh. They're super fun. So I think that about covers it. Again, please let me know if this was too short, too long, if you felt like I left too much out. I was trying to keep it to about 5 minutes, and I have already gone a little over that. So I'm really interested in your feedback to know if that's too long, too short, too annoying, not enough. So thank you for watching. As always, I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you next time.